Hello folks, Mal the Train Shooter back in the studio and back with the Burma Build. Yes, we're back in my favourite project because we've got a little special temple we need to finish. This one. Now if you remember, a couple of months ago I was struggling getting back on the channel and I'm still battling, but I'm winning the good fight. But this sort of got part of me getting back onto the channel process, but it never got finished, it got put aside. Yeah, as I went off to play Bolt Action and stuff like that. And I got distracted for 40k. So it's come to a point that I really need to finish this off. So I thought, right, let's do it as a proper episode rather than just, finish it off, make it disappear into the time, because this is kind of iconic with helping me get back on the channel. So if we come down, if you've not seen this before, this is a Sarisa Precision Temple Bell kit, that I have been jazzing up. Okay, so let's take it apart. I'll take you through what I did with it, and then what we'll do is we'll just crack on and get it finished. So what we've basically got here is this bit, this wooden bit, is a Sarisa Precision kit, and it's their temple bell kit. There was a bell that sort of hung in there. Okay, and I put the kit together. It got fencing around there that I didn't really like because it encroached on model placement. Now on top of that, I'd also got some resin bits. Now these have been bobbing around in my Big Burma Build for quite a while. Okay, and they're from a company called Ainsley Castings. So we've got a couple of temple dogs. We've got a little Buddha. Now the Buddha was a little bit big, so I cut him down. And basically he now fits under there, which works really well. Now the other thing that I did with regards to the kit was I took the fences that were around here and come on, basically put that together. So I put together basically the grill and the fencing and made an enclosure for the Buddha to sit in. Okay, now obviously I wanted something that was a little bit more impressive than just a basic kit, so I based it, but I also raised it on some foam. Okay, so foamed it up, built it up, put a sort of channel in there between the temple dogs for where the stairs are going to go, because I quite like that. And then sort of herbed it and did it in my normal Burma Build base, if you know what I mean. Now, at the current stage, that's base coated, that's grounded, all the rest needs to be done, and this needs to be stylized up a bit. I want to put some proper tiling on or something like that. So that's where we are. So guys, that's where we are, and what I'm going to do is, my next job is, I don't even know. Right, I've got that bit kind of at the base coated and grounded stage. I've got that bit ready to convert. I've got these bits all ready to base coat, to prime and base coat. So I think the logical thing now is I get all these sort of things primed up and painted up, and then we work on converting that. That sounds like a plan, right? In the meantime, here's some photos of me putting it together and that sort of stuff, and I'll be back in a flash. Right, I've been busying away in and I've been tackling the roof. Come on down. Right, let me show you what I've got. Okay, here is our original roof. Okay, now if you take a look, you'll notice that the top has changed. Before it had a very stylized sort of Japanese curve. And what I've done is the Burmese sort of temples, they have this sort of like double curve to them with a peak in the middle and a peak at either side. And so you can see it's slightly better on that side. All I've done is cut it down, flattened it, and sand two curves into it. It's turned out all right. Now, at the same time, I've started to add the tiles. Now, that's sort of brought down the curve a bit, but I don't mind that actually. It looks all right to me, and it's level and it's good, which is the main thing. But I want to show you just a little bit about this plasticard. Right, the plasticard that I'm using to do the roof, I believe it's from It's either from Evergreen or Plastruct. I picked up a couple of sheets ages ago. Now, a couple of things that you need to notice, yeah, when using this stuff. First, yeah, it has a front and a back, okay? So the tiles are the ones that have the indents going in. And that's important because you don't want to go round, do half of your pieces and then lay down the wrong sort of side. The other thing is obviously there's an up and a down. Yeah, so the tiles, you can feel it. There's a ridge to them. If I bring it up nice and close, you can see. I'll show you. That's the back side. Yeah. Now, one other little thing. When you start off, just remember that they have these edges around, yeah, which are sort of half cuts. Trim these off and go from the top of a full tile. I made this mistake in my first one, and I actually started my cutting with half a tile because I went straight off the top and measured straight down. Completely wrong technique. Yeah, made a mistake there, didn't spot it and didn't realise how it was messing things up, because although I cut the top row of tiles off, the next row started with a full tile, and so this piece didn't fit any of the others, so I had to recut. So just bearing in mind, watch out for your edges and cut nice and clean, okay? So if I bring you down, what we've got is, I've got 2 square roofs, yeah, so that's that. This one's going to go on this side, and then these with the off cuts, yeah, basically all I did is I just measured there, worked out the angle, made my cuts, and a little trial and error, but they slide up into there. And these ones, they're going to go there. A little bit taller, a little bit more full, if you know what I mean. This sort of cuts off. This sort of cuts off here. Come on, Boast, look at your camera. And that's going to go there. So that's my next job, to basically, sort of layer this up, get this finished, yeah, so I can move on and we can start painting it up. So that's the next plan. I'm going to get this finished. You'll see it in the photos, and then when I come back, it'll be painting up time. So I've been cracking on with the roof and it's turned out perfect. Well, pretty much perfect. I'm happy with it. Come on down. Right, here you go. As you can see, I've just got it on these wooden supports. But there you go. And what a massive difference compared to bare MDF. Yeah, just a simple sheet of a plastic, styrene, tile. Come on, Boast, find your words. You know, textured plastic art. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, and then what I've done is obviously put them all down, and then I've just used some barbecue skewers just to fill in the gaps and just to give it a little bit more ornateness, bring it out. You know, there's some nice ridges there. Yeah, now the way I've actually fixed it down was I've fixed it down with PVA, which isn't the best glue for when fixing plastic card to MDF. But what I've done is, yeah, I put basically PVA around the edges, and then a little bit of hot glue in the middle. So when I pushed it in, the hot glue gripped it and just left it to for the PVA to dry. Which in the heat wave, which is currently going on in the UK right now, didn't take long. So there we have it. Same with these, yeah, basically just glued them in place with some PVA, just covered them over, and they are nice and sturdy. Yeah, so there we go. Now, the only little issue I had was I didn't move this one up far enough. I could have peeled it back, done it again, but I just basically dropped a little bit of wire just in the crack there. Yeah, just to fill the crack. And it's fine, you know. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me. So, this is basically done to the painting stage now. So, where are we? Well, this is ready to be painted. This is essentially base coated and ready to go from there. The wooden framework, that needs base coating and taking off. And then all my little ornaments, yeah, I've just quickly hot glued them onto a bit of MDF, just so I can paint them up and then pop them off and and put them on. That's the plan. So with that in mind, my next job is to do some painting, and I need to decide what colours. Now, I've done a lot of research into sort of the Burmese temples and that sort of stuff, and they go for really deep reds, yeah, with their sort of temples. There's not much gold. They seem to go from almost a reddy black, yeah, to a very deep red with regards to their tiles and that sort of some their decoration. So that's what I'm going to mimic for these. For the Buddha and the dogs, I have seen so many different things, I don't know what to do, and so I am just going to go with a simple stone effect. Yeah, I'll make them look nice because it's like, I could attempt some of the things I've seen and they'd just turn out, I already know, yeah, that they just won't look right, if you know what I mean, when I finally do them. Yeah, whereas a simple stone effect, I know I can pull it off pretty good, and I can always come back and level it up in the future. So that's the battle plan with these. So, my next job, base coating time. Next bit, we'll go over that, and it's probably going to be some pictures and that sort of stuff. So, catch you after the flash. So as you can tell, I've been a busy boasticle, but I've painted up pretty much everything. Come on down. Right, here we've got what we've got. Now, let's start with the base. So, started with the base, and what I did is I decided it was too light. So I hit it with I used army paints with my airbrush, and what I did is I hit it with a necromancer cloak, then mixed it up with a little bit of my Burma grey, my sort of light brown, and sort of just made it a bit patchy. Yeah, and as you can see, it's a lot more mottled effect. It's not dry brushed. I actually prefer it that way. But it doesn't stand out from the base at the moment. Now, as you can see, I've sort of oversprayed where I've gotten in grey and that sort of stuff. This is going to be heavily flocked with jungle material, so I'm not really concerned about this. It's mainly the front and the path I'm concerned about. But overall, I'm happy with how that looks. I've made sure that where the pillars of the pagoda are going to go, I've kept those nice and dark, and I've tried my best to sort of keep it muddy round the back and the sides and sort of not so muddy at the front. Now moving on, we've got the actual wooden structure. Now this was done with chaotic red and then I think I mixed in a little bit of brown and a little bit of black as well, and just spotted it and just sprayed it in various places just to break it up a little. And this is going to fit onto there in a moment. Beautiful pagoda roof turned out great. And this was really easy. This was just chaotic red, and then all I did is mixed in a little bit of oak brown and a touch of black and just went round the edges. Now this is actually quite a lot like what the pagoda roofs look like in Burma, this sort of stylized colour. And I've got it roughly where I want it. Now I could have dry brushed it, I could wash it, I could do a few things. But you know one that where you've got it roughly where you want it to be and you're not quite sure, and yeah, I can always come back and touch up a roof, but this is easily tabletop standard. You know, this will look great. And with a few washes and that sort of thing later on, you know, as I blend things in, no doubt I can make it look a bit better. But what I didn't want to do is go OTT. Yeah, I got it to a place where I liked it, and I thought, right, draw a line in that. And that's, you know, that's quite important when you're making terrain, is to be able to look at it and go, yeah, that's okay. You know, I don't need to take it further right now. And sometimes, you know, it can just take a little while just a piece to sit with you and then sort of see it and then see what it needs, or do a little bit more research. So above all, don't rush in and don't think you have to do everything. If it's looking good, it's looking good. Yeah. So that's the roof. The stairs were done with an oak brown, and then I just mixed in some grey with them. Yeah, and so it started off that colour, and then slowly I added uniform grey from the army painter range to sort of lighten the steps. And the trick behind that was to sort of match what the foreground steps look like for the for the Burma village we've got. So basically tying it in. Now this is going to go there, and if you check, yeah, that looks brilliant. Now, one thing we are going to have to do a little bit of work on is the temple dogs. These turned out great. Yeah, I basically just did a base coat them with Necromancer Cloak, then I Zenith highlight them with Uniform Grey, then I added a little bit of white to the Uniform Grey and gave them a bit of a dry brush. And I've got a good stone look to them now. Same with the Buddha. Yeah, a little bit harsher on the dry brush on that, bring the lines out, but it's where I want it to be. Now if I put these with these, you'll see that they really do stand out a bit. Now that's not too bad because one, they are bright. Two, there's no brown in them. These are just monotone. These are just greys, whereas everything else has got a bit of my Burma brown in or a different brown in. So once I go over these with a wash and blend them into the piece, they're going to be fine. Same with the Buddha. Little wash around the base and everything knocked to back, but I actually want to keep that starkness there. Yeah. Sort of as a highlight. Let me see if I can pick this up. Yeah, so it's looking good. And then if I just put that on there, yeah, you can see, yeah, I like this. I'm even contemplating putting a tea light up in there. Yeah, so it shines down on it. But that's fancy stuff. In the meantime, what I've got to do is I've got to glue these pieces on and just let them dry overnight. Once they've dried overnight, we can come in tomorrow. Yeah, and we can actually start weathering these pieces in, weathering the statues and stuff into the main piece, blending the woodwork into the base, and then adding the flocks and foliage whilst I add on some extra little bits and bobs to make it just a little bit more fancy like I do. So, here's some photos. So the pieces have dried and it's looking great. Go on down. There we go, folks. Look at that. Obviously, Buddha's still here. And the single piece, it does work really well. Now, the roof is still detachable. Yeah, so I can get models in and that sort of stuff. But clearly, yeah, you can see that the temple dogs are standing out. The Buddha's going to stand out when we put him in there. Yeah, and so we need to sort of blend that up and tie it together. And so the battle plan is I'm going to be doing some washing. Okay, now I'll be honest with you, it's been quite a while since I've done this sort of weathering and washing, so going to be a little bit rusty, but we'll do it. Now there's a couple of things that I need to do on it. Now obviously there's blending in, but let me take you through the key elements I need to do with this washing. So first off, clearly, yeah, we've got to take the temple dogs. Yeah, and we've clearly got to blend those in because they just stick out too much. But at the same time, you can see where the wooden pillars come down, hit and give us a very sharp contact on there. We need to sort of blend that in a little bit, increase a bit of shading round here. And then on top of that, because we're going to be adding quite a lot of jungle foliage on here, I want to add a little bit of green, sort of, not moss, but the feeling of algae and growth on it because it is very brown at the minute. Yeah, and so that's the battle plan. So that's what we're going to do with it. At the minute, I'm surrounded by my paints. I just basically got out everything. Yeah, pretty much. It's like, right, what do I do this? How do I do this? It's time for Bosicle to start remember how I do this. Yeah, so, I'm going to get cracked on. Time-lapse time. So the washing's done and it's turned out pretty good. It's been a while. Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty, but there we go. So dogs are looking good, the ground's looking good, it's all broken up, I've got my green tone in there. I didn't want to over swamp it, to be truthful. Yeah, there's a little whitening coming up. I'm not sure if that's the PVA or if something's reacting, but it's only subtle. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it because most of this is going to be hidden by foliage and that sort of stuff. Anyway, so the temple dogs, they've turned out great. Really love them. Yeah. Now, and obviously, yeah, you can see the Buddha at the back there, just drying in place. Now, the next thing I need to do is, we've got to get some foliage on it. Yeah, just while the final wash dries. And for that, I want to actually bulk it up a little bit more than normal, which means we're reverting to plastic plants. So come on down. Now, here we've got, obviously, the large base. And what I've got here is, I've got my standard plastic sort of plants. Now, these are those, I've got those big green balls in the studio, and I keep plucking at them to get these little bits off. Yeah, and obviously, if I was to put that just straight there, I think it'd be a bit OTT. So what I've done is, if you notice, these are actually on like a platform, split into sort of like 4 pieces, all connected. So, hot glue. So what I've done is I've cut them in half, so I get like 2 pieces, yeah, which is significantly sort of less bulkier than doing it with 1 whole piece. And I've done this with these as well. So those are the full ones, and then I've clipped them in half, got myself some nice simple ones. And the idea is, all I'm going to do is come along with my hot glue gun, just like that. Yeah. Get my plastic plant, and without burning my fingers by pressing it down, yeah, put it in like that. Right, I need my presser thing, my plunger. But there you go. Now that's all I'm going to do. Just go around, add some of these, yeah, and just build up and sort of hide some of the details. Once the plastic plants are on, then it's just a matter of hitting it up with my standard BBB turf mix, which is a blended mix of flock and clump foliage and lichen, and then just add some mixed clump into the mix. So that's what I've got to get done. Best thing for me to do now is just crack on in it. So that's the groundwork done, sealed, washed, the lot, and it is done. And it's looking beautiful. Now, as you can see, yeah, it all does work together. Now that groundwork, it's just toned it back, knocked it back. These are a little bright, but I might give them a spray at some point when next time I've got the airbrush out. It's no big deal right now. Same with the plastic plants. Yeah, I don't really want to do it just yet because I'd rather have a few of my terrain pieces together. One, it just makes the job a little bit simpler than going through the whole airbrush thing just for a couple of little bits. And 2, it also means that I can keep it in line with the other bits by doing them all at the same time, which is the more important thing. One of the challenges of when you do little solo pieces, yeah, for your sets, is that you sort of do them alone. And so you can, depend on lighting conditions, the paints used, how heavy your dry brush, you can think you're doing them the same way. And then you end up putting them back with the actual collection. It's like, ooh. So whenever I do like solo pieces, I always like to sort of hold off the final touches, if you know what I mean, and go in too heavy. Just so I can wait until like I'm doing a big batch of more scenery for the set, and I can just pull it in and go, right, let's just finally blend that in, rather than going too heavy, too quick. Which is why the ground, normally I'd airbrush this and blend that in a bit better and put a bit more browns on these. I'm not going to just yet because I really want to get the rest of the set out and do it with that. But even so, it's beautiful. Yeah. Now, the roof turned out lovely. The mix of the reds that we used on that, we kept the Burma style. Yeah, even with this double arch, and it's paid off. It looks good. More importantly, it doesn't look Japanese, which is what it looked before with this sort of curved sort of arch, the bow sort of effect on it. Yeah, the tiles, the evergreen sheeting looks brilliant. Yeah, and the MDF base from Sarisa Precision, you know, it's made it so easy because at the end of the day, the only actual converting I've done on this is we took the fences off, yeah, to make our grill effect, and then I just used some plastic, styrene tiles, styrene sheets to do the roof effect. So it is essentially still the Sarisa. Oh yeah, we got rid of the temple belt because, you know, we wanted a Buddha. But the Sarisa kit played off really well here, and it's converted incredibly well. Now, the one downside on this, and it's nothing to do with the kit itself, it's just lighting, is if I lift it up to you, we can't see the Buddha. He's in shade. Yeah, so I've had a look. I can't find them. Yeah, but I'm sure in this studio somewhere there's some tea lights. So my idea is I'm going to get a bit of blue tack or some wires or some bands or something, fix a tea light in there, just so I can put that on. There's lighting underneath and, you know, you can see inside the piece. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I'm quite chuffed about is it is a playable space. Yeah. I mean, when we had it, we had, you know, the fences all the way around there, which essentially left a bit of space there and a little bit in here. Yeah. We could perhaps get 5 or 6 models in there. Yeah. You could easily fit a squad of 10 men across that space now. Easily. Also, it's sort of, it's got, when we started it, yeah, we were talking about direction. Yeah. And the idea is, obviously, this is blocked off here. Okay. And these are sort of cramped here. So it sort of makes, right, you can sort of go here. Yeah. Or you can go this way, but you can't go that way. So it's sort of, it's not unidirectional, i.e. models can't go straight through that way. They've got to work around it a bit, which makes the piece a little bit more functional. You know, it doesn't offer an advantage all the way round. Yeah. Also, it's an elevated 5 position. And because we've put the greenery up a bit, yeah, you can claim a little bit of cover there. Just a little. Yeah. Now, at the same time, it's a nice feature piece moving forward, you know. It sort of tells a story, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so you can imagine models stepping up, taking 5 positions round here. It'll look good on the table. So overall, we're done. That's another feature piece for the Burma Build done. I need to decide what feature piece we're going to do next, so you know where the comments are for that one. We've got to do some tracks, we've got to do some muddy ground, there's an airfield. We need to go back and level up the village with all the thatched roofs and all the pots and all that sort of stuff. And I'm always open to hairball ideas to take me completely off track. Yeah? In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed the video, folks. I hope you've learned from it. I'm glad to be back in the saddle and, you know, feeling a little bit better with old Scrunchy. Yeah, so let the good times roll. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this video, I would appreciate your support, guys. You know the drill, yeah. Your support keeps the lights on, the cameras rolling, and me in here, you know, doing my thing and sharing my passion with you. So there are links on screen. There are links down in the descriptions. You can send a one-off by PayPal, or you can jump on the Patreon clan and become part of the clan. I'm getting lost because I'm rubbish at this sort of stuff. But basically, you jump on Patreon, yeah, help make this happen, help get me back in the studio and on my feet. In the meantime, guys, if you like it, and if you want to see more, links down. I'm lost. I'll see you soon, guys. All the best, yeah. Ta-da.